welcome back to a very special episode of Boobies and Noobies, the podcast that asks novice romance readers to think outside the dick in a box and brave the unbridled world of erotica. I'm your host, Kelly Reynolds, and today marks the lucky number 7th day of the Boobies and Noobies holiday special, aka the 12 days of Boobsmas. That's right, we're more than halfway through our holiday mini-pods, but there are still plenty more opportunities for you to take home a holiday giveaway. Just be sure to follow us at Boobie Podcast on Instagram and Twitter for all new episodes and giveaway opportunities and updates. Joining me today for the 7th day of magical boobsness is one of my good friends and former co-workers. She's an assistant editor and all-around badass bitch. It's Claudia Capria. Welcome to the show, Claudia.
Thanks for having me, Kelly.
I'm so excited for you to join us.
Can't wait to talk about all of this nonsense.
I definitely knew that when I offered you a book, regardless of what book it was, you would have plenty to say.
I mean, when don't I have things to say?
That's fine. I appreciate that. That's what podcasting is for everyone to listen to everything we have to say, whether they want to or not.
Get ready. Just get ready.
Well, and before we talk about the book, we are doing these special holiday episodes, and in addition to just our normal banter about the books themselves, we're also talking holiday traditions, favorite recipes. One of our former co-workers, Raquel, was on the show recently, and we talked dirty drink recipes. So there's lots of fun holiday goodness happening on the show as well. What are some of your favorite holiday traditions?
I come from a pretty big family. My nuclear family is small, but like beyond that, we're pretty big. So we spend Christmas Eve with my mom's side and then Christmas Day with my dad's. But what we do is we have our own separate third Christmas on the 23rd. That's just me, my mom, my dad, and my brother. We get dinner and then we open the gifts that we've gotten for each other, and that's like one of the things that I look forward to the most just because it's so cozy.
I love that though. It's like a 3-day event then. Like we kind of try and, instead of doing it with separate families on separate days, we cram everything into one day. And I like the way you do it. That sounds much less stressful.
It is, but at the same time, it isn't. Because like you have the 23rd and that's great. And it's just so low maintenance because it's just the 4 of us. But then it's just like, okay, prepare to hang out with all of my mom's relatives. And it's just like, okay, well, these are the things we're definitely going to have to talk about. These are the things that we cannot talk about. And then it's prepare yourself to do it all again for your dad's side of for my dad's side of the family.
It's like the family, when you have your first Christmas on the 23rd, it's more of like the appetizer. And then you get to the next course and then the next course. And then by the end of it, you're just so full.
You're just so ready for a nap.
For sure.
It's like, it's very nice though, regardless. Like it is tiring because it's a lot of traveling usually on our end. But it is the one day a year that like we get to see everyone, which is nice because like my dad's family, they're in Jersey and then they're in New York. And now I live in California and my parents live in Massachusetts. My brother's in Wisconsin. So it's just like nice that everyone comes together in one place at one time.
No, that is nice.
It's very nice. And also we get to eat so much food.
Oh, and isn't that just like the best part about the holidays?
Yes.
It's definitely up there. Like if it's not number 1, it's like number 2 or 3.
Oh yeah.
You know, right after like family and joy and giving and all that
stuff, whatever.
You're from the East Coast, so you've probably had your share of white Christmases.
I have had so many white Christmases.
Oh, so
and
jealous.
They're lovely. It can get kind of bummy because then you have to shovel on a holiday
bummy?
too.
Like such a bummer?
Yeah.
I like that as an adjective though, bummy.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
It fits with the romance themes.
Yeah, booby, bummy, whatever.
Yeah, luckily we've never had to travel through a snowstorm, at least to my recollection.
That's lucky.
Oh yeah, it's been great because again we drive from Massachusetts to New York to New Jersey, New Jersey back to New York, and then back to Massachusetts. A lot of driving.
Which in California would be like a trip from LA to Bakersfield. Like it can't be that far, right?
It's like 3 hours.
Yeah.
3 hours to New York and then an hour and a half.
It's so crazy how that works out. Just growing up here, I'm like, you have to drive for a day to get anywhere out of this state.
It was weird for me coming here because
right.
I'm used to states being like, oh, it's like a 2-hour drive. from my hometown
right.
to my college town in a completely different state.
Wave to Connecticut. Oh, you missed it.
Oh, darn. Rhode Island is the one that you blink and you're, and that's gone. Over.
Yeah.
Oh, we were there.
Did it happen?
Is Rhode Island real?
Was it actually there? Is it an island?
No, it's not. It's not.
Such a lame name. Well, happy travels and warm wishes to you and your family when you head back to the East Coast for the holidays.
Let's just hope that I don't have any delayed flights because of the weather.
Absolutely. I hope you make it home safe and sound and there aren't any travel issues along the way.
It's flying, so there's bound to be some sort of
problem.
Run
the risk. Yeah, absolutely. Especially this time of year. It's traveling and the mail. Those are like the two things that just, you never know.
Forever. And you're just, it's a really good underground gambling bit. You could be betting on like flights and mail.
Yeah.
Like, is this going to arrive on time? How, like, I'm putting $100 that this is delayed by 2 hours.
Right. And by the way, if you have not sent your holiday cards by the time this episode airs, you are shit out of luck. Like, it is over at this point.
I remember last year I sent mine so early. I think I sent them on, like, the 6th or the 7th.
Which is actually good timing. Like, I read something online that said by the 10th. It's
just like, you know, you got 3 weeks. Pretty much to give it to someone.
I read something online recently that said that December 14th this year is going to be the busiest day for the post office. So if you don't get out your cards by the 14th, I don't know. For me, I always forget that Christmas isn't the end of the month. Like, I always think, oh, I've got all of December. And then I'm like, oh, wait a second. By the 14th, you only have 10 days left until Christmas Eve. Like, that's it. It jumps up on you.
It does. And I'm also trying to get things out to people before semesters end because like, I've got a couple professors that I'm like, I need to send you this thing.
And if people are still in school, they also travel a lot too. Yeah. So I know, and even if they're not, like people head home for the holidays. So like if somebody sends me a card to my apartment here, I'm going to go home for the holidays with my parents. Like I might not even see the card until January when I get back. But that's okay. It's the thought that counts.
Exactly. Plus there's, nothing like a little delayed gratification.
Right. That's what I'm looking for at Christmas time. Delayed gratification, presents, food. Sleep, joy, eggnog. No eggnog. Well, since we're talking about eggnog, we might as well take that natural segue right on into the book. Like many of the books and stories we've been reading lately for the holiday pods, we will be discussing a novella today, and that is Eggnog Makes Her Easy by Erin Nicholas. I don't know. I feel like it could get a lot worse than that. I think I offered you a few choices, though. I'm pretty sure I was like, do you want this one? And it's going to be like warm, fuzzy, like maybe a little bit Hallmark Channel-ish. Or do you want Eggnog Makes Her Easy?
I think I snorted and then picked that one.
Yeah. So,
I think that's exactly how that conversation went. And then again in my head, I think my follow-up question was, what?
I should mention that Eggnog Makes Her Easy is actually a novella, and it's part of the Boys of the Big Easy series by Erin Nicholas. And obviously, for anybody not getting the reference, it takes place in New Orleans.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that reference, but...
Really?
No, I've never been...
I haven't either, but you've never heard it called, like, the Big Easy?
No.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I knew going into it, I was like, oh, this has got to be set in New Orleans. Like, I had no idea it was going to be like a military romance type thing, but it is set in New Orleans. It's part of a series. This novella is only about 100 pages. It was released in November of this year, and it is available on Amazon, $2.99, Kindle edition.
It took me I think an hour to get through it.
Yeah, for sure. I read it in one sitting, no problem. It reads really fast, too. Like, as short as it is, it reads even shorter.
Language to hold you up.
Very simple. Like, if you just want a quick and pretty dirty read, go for it. But before we get into all the details, here's a promo for My Worst Date podcast.
Hi, I'm Keegan.
And I'm Cassie.
And I'm Christina.
Have you ever had a guy you're dating try and pick up your brother?
Have you ever been on a date where a guy showed up wearing the exact same outfit as you?
Have you ever been on a date where the guy sniffs you as a greeting?
If so, this just might be the podcast for you. Tune in to My Worst Date.
Because let's face it, misery loves company.
So while we're on the topic of fan fiction, is that something that you've read before, or have you ever read a romance novel before reading this one?
I can say that I really am not a huge romance novel person.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of the warm and fuzzy rom-com.
Okay, good.
Every once in a while, just because, who doesn't want to be a little happy and be like, that is an impossible expectation of love that I'm absolutely going to aspire to for the rest of my life. But,
Okay,
They
so
get together
watching it, but not necessarily reading it.
Yeah, not necessarily reading it. I'm kind of more mystery.
Well, and you work in TV, so I mean, it makes sense too that you would like to see the visuals as well.
Yeah, I mean, musical cues are everything.
And we're not getting that in Eggnog Makes Her Easy. Where's the
we're
musical
not.
cues?
I don't think they have a single musical reference in there. Classic Christmas songs. There are
Yeah.
plenty of dirty ones out there.
Okay. Well, and then since you brought up fan fiction, is that something that you've read in the past? Because I know some people kind of look at it as like maybe like a gateway into romance. There's stories that have even started as fan fiction. 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah. I have read those. Those were terrible.
I love that you read those though. Like you made it through those.
That's a story. I have family who lives in Missouri.
Okay.
And we used to visit them for a week every summer.
Wait, hold on. I'm stuck on the fact that your story about reading 50 Shades of Grey starts with, we used to visit our family in Missouri. Like, definitely not where I thought that was going. Or the fact that I thought they had copies of 50 Shades of Grey in Missouri.
Well, it was my mom's copy.
Okay.
And, you can only pack so much when you're driving halfway across the country. And you run out of things to read pretty fast. So,
During the drive or while you're in Missouri?
While I'm in Missouri.
Okay.
Because there's not much to do there.
I'm sure it's lovely.
It's got its perks. It's very pretty. But, we're visiting my grandmother.
Right.
So it's a lot of just kind of hanging around, being together. So you do a lot of reading to pass the time. And I remember I got through all of my required senior year reading.
Right.
And there was nothing left.
And you
so
just
I was
moved
just like,
on over.
well, this is 500 pages. This will take me at least half the day. And I read all three.
All three in that one trip?
In that one trip.
Oh my gosh, which is absolutely doable.
Oh, yeah.
That's sort of...
It's not written for those who want to think as they're reading.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Well, and that's sort of why I feel like a lot of people will pick up romance is
exactly.
just to have that,
Quick,
easy
easy
escape. Exactly. You just, I want something. I mean, a lot of people call them beach reads. It's something to bring with you to the beach. It's something to bring with you and just kick back and relax and step away from it all. I get it. That's one of the appeals for me. I get it.
Yeah. So that's why I read 50 Shades of Grey. I ran out of things to do in Missouri.
I feel like that's happened to a lot of people.
I would not be surprised.
Okay, well, before we start talking about Eggnog Makes Her Easy, let me give everyone the very brief Amazon synopsis so they can be all caught up on all the joy that's about to happen. And it starts like this. Lindsey is expecting silent nights this holiday. Just her and her boys while her husband serves overseas. But her blue Christmas turns merry when things start rockin' under the mistletoe thanks to a surprise gift from her naughty Santa. Hey, the nice list is overrated anyway. Okay, I can't get past how many Christmas references are just in that 3-sentence synopsis. It's a little too many for me. And I love Christmas.
It's like when you're back in high school and you have to summarize a 500-page book into a single paragraph.
Right.
It's just how much information can I stuff into this?
Stuff it. You stuff that stocking.
Isn't that something that they say?
I'm sure. I actually marked that a lot. Is if you listen to the synopsis and you're like, oh boy, that's a lot of dirty Christmas puns. Oh, we just getting started because this book is chock full of them. And part of me loves it. Part of me loves stuff like that because I used to live with a roommate who would make the most awful, horrendous puns ever. But you can't help but be like,
That's
in like
funny,
a loving way.
Yeah.
And so part of me loves it. And then the other part of me is just like, good God almighty. Like, we don't need another Santa joke.
No, we did not need another Santa joke in this one. We really didn't. Yeah, I think stuff my stocking was said at least twice.
That sounds about accurate. Well, from a woman who on her first date, okay, let's take it all the way back.
Yeah, let's start at the beginning.
Lindsey, we meet Lindsey, and I'm assuming, I haven't read the rest of the series, and you know what? I wouldn't actually mind reading more of it just because I actually didn't mind the setup, like the characters and the world and everything, because it takes place with Lindsey and her friends, and they've basically formed like a single parents support group, although most of them aren't really
parents.
Single parents anymore. And it's because, and I can see this in the other books, I can already tell like what the other books are going to be. It starts as like this single parents group, and then in each book, one of them meets somebody new. They fall in love. And that's what you see, is you see a bunch of people who are in couples, and you're like, well, why is this a single parents group? And it used to be. And then now they've just kind of coupled off with other people or found someone new as a byproduct of that group. Whatever. So they're having their little single, non-single parents party for the holidays.
They had the kids one earlier.
Yes.
But the age-appropriate Santa left.
Right. And then sexy Santa in like his leather trench coat or whatever pulls up. And he's
wearing sunglasses inside.
And the part that killed me was where she was like, oh, and that beard is real. And I was like thinking, wow, that's like some dedication. Like, is this guy like really sexy and he just has this really long beard? Like, okay, interesting. But so from the synopsis of the book, my first inclination was, you know, she says her husband's overseas, but then things are going to start rocking under the mistletoe thanks to naughty Santa. And I was like thinking, okay, either she's
masturbating or she's cheating on her husband.
Yeah, I was like, I hope she's not cheating on her husband. It can't be that sort of book. So I was like thinking, okay, well, it's got to be like Santa, like they surprise her with her husband or something, like they bring him home. But no, it is in fact her husband, Matt, dressed as Santa, but she doesn't recognize him because
of the beard and the sunglasses.
He's got a beard and his sunglasses.
Dropped his voice an octave lower.
And his sunglasses cover up those sexy eyes of his. And
he's been working out because he's in the military, so somehow he's leaner than the last time she saw him.
Right, exactly.
And I'm just like, y'all have been married for, I think the book says that they've been married
10
for like
years.
10 years.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, so a dyed beard and sunglasses was
And that's
all
it.
it took for you not to recognize your husband of 10 years.
That you've had 2 children with.
Yeah. You've procreated with this man.
Right.
And a beard and sunglasses was all it took for you.
Now, to be fair, for me, I'm more forgiving of her not recognizing him based on that. If like he's like across the room and she's not right there. But
She
when
sits on
you
his
hear,
lap.
for me, it's when you hear their voice, you should know.
Even
you
if
should
they
know
drop
immediately.
it an octave lower.
Yes.
You should still know because you should know the cadence of your loved one's speech.
Yeah. And she does figure it out fairly quickly, like, and she decides to like fuck with him about it and be like, I'm gonna make him think that, you know, I don't know it's him and I'm like flirting with this
Other
sexy
man.
Santa stranger, which he gets like really turned on by anyway. So I was like, oh, that's weird.
There are a couple things about that. So she did not recognize him when she was sitting on his lap. And he's stroking her thigh.
Yeah.
And there was a part where she's just like, and I wanted him to go a little bit higher. Part of
Right.
me wouldn't have minded that. And I'm just like, she doesn't know that this is her husband.
Right.
She's getting felt up by this stranger.
And is
And
okay with
she's
it.
okay with it?
Yeah, part of me was like thinking, is this whole party gonna turn into like some weird orgy, big sex
mean,
party? Which
they
I'm like, I've seen it happen, so I'm like, okay, but
I mean, they gave out the party favors to do so. There was handcuffs. There was that temporary tattoos. Being
Yeah.
like, lick me here, whatever.
which personally I was like, oh my god, if I was with
That's a
somebody,
great
I would
gag
totally buy those. That's hysterical.
That is a great gag gift.
It's kind of like those. It's like the newer, naughtier version of like the date cards, you know, where it'll be like, oh, you get to decide we do this. And da-da-da. I'm like, no, I want the temporary tattoos that say lick me. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of sexy Santa fantasies going on, especially in the first section before she knows that it's her husband. And that's not the first time I've read or even seen in like a movie or TV show something about somebody having this fantasy about Santa, which...
I mean, there's a song called Santa Baby.
Right.
It's clearly been a thing for a very long time.
Right, yeah. And I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus.
Classic.
I mean, it's I don't know, is that something... What are your thoughts on Santa fantasies?
You know, I try not to kink shame people.
Right. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Because everybody has their own thing. It's fine.
And like, you know what? Go for it.
What is your personal thought?
My personal thought is that's really weird that you are lusting after this older gentleman who's breaking into your house.
That's the even funnier part is like this lore about Santa and how we let the stranger come down our chimney
to give us presents.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I mean, that could go so poorly so fast.
For me, it's less of him being like an old man stranger thing, because I think people have fantasies about older men. People have fantasies about strangers.
Avengers, so, you know, there's no shortage of weird things.
Right. No, for me, it's that I would find it weird if you fantasize about Santa, because when you're a child, Santa is still a part of your life. And I just don't see how you transition from being a little kid and thinking, oh my God, this guy is so magical and he brings me gifts and everything, to being an adult woman, hell, or whoever, and thinking, yes, I want that. You know, I just don't see the connection of going from like this jolly childhood figure to a sex symbol. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't work for me.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I'm all for a man with a beard, though. Like, I'm all about it.
I'm fine with a beard. I like to play the game of, if they're 18, how old am I?
Okay.
And that might be, you know, a byproduct of me working on some documentaries about some not fun stuff. But I just, when I hear about that kind of thing, I'm just like, ooh, no.
So what if Matt had showed up dressed as Santa, his like sexy Santa look, but didn't have the white beard? Like, what if it was just a normal beard? Like, would it... I feel like it's the white beard is what like ages them. Yeah. And I only think of Santa when I think of white beards. Like, do you think of like a young guy? Well, yeah, or a wizard, like any wizard, or
which is like in the same camp.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm just trying to think, or just grandpa in general. Like, I don't think of a young hot man with a white beard.
I don't think anybody does.
Well, never say never.
I mean, never say never.
But anyway, Lindsey and Matt, they reconnect. She realizes it's him.
She was starting to suspect right before they kissed under the mistletoe. Mm-hmm. She was like, oh, okay, I think this might be it. But he's supposed to be overseas, so this can't be him.
Right. Just logistically can't happen.
Logistically can't happen. And then...
Which I think was actually smart for them to have in the book as like the explaining factor for why she doesn't think it's him, is like, you can almost believe it then if she's like, well, there's no way he can be here.
Exactly. He didn't tell me he's coming back. He's not coming back for a while. He always tells me when he's coming home.
Exactly.
Like, that makes sense, and I get it. Like, you know, military relationships are hard.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But yeah, they're kissing under the mistletoe, and it's like, as soon as they kiss, she's like, yeah, this is my husband.
Yeah.
But she continues to pretend that she doesn't know it's him.
And then
he takes her into another room, and she's still pretending until
he catches on. Yeah.
He figures it out. But
I mean, again, like you said, if you know each other for that long and you've been married that long and you have kids together, it should be pretty simple for you to like pick up on each other's cues. And so once she starts fucking with him about it, he picks up on it pretty quickly and kind of plays along. So it becomes more of like a role playing sort of thing. And then they, you know,
flex, but okay.
And then they go and hook up in the other room.
Okay, they straight up have sex in a conference room while their friends are like 2 doors down.
Mid-party.
And I'm just like, what?
Oh, yeah. See, to me, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, you haven't seen your husband in that long. Jesus.
You make an excuse and you leave.
They
you
just
don't
couldn't wait.
Fuck in the conference room.
I don't know. I think that's pretty hot.
All of your friends are like right there. No thanks.
I like the idea of like somebody wants you so much like they just can't wait. Like
I like the idea of it. I don't think I like it in that sort of practice.
well, the kids had all gone home, so that's good. Like if the kids were still there and this was like a family party, then I would have been very anti fucking the conference room. Oh my God, I'm just flipping through my notes that I've got on the book, and I've marked like every page where they have the jokes about,
oh my God, there's so many.
Oh, about like Santa, or like this first one is,
I think one of the dirty things she said to him was like, I just want to feel that beard on my inner thighs. And I was
yeah. I'd love to pretend you're the biggest candy cane I've ever seen and lick you until you're seeing flying reindeer. That's a double whammy.
That's just too much. That's trying way too hard.
I put my note as, oh boy, Christmas is going to get graphic this year. And then the next one was, oh, Santa, you can come down my chimney anytime. I marked that with a cringe/laughing.
Just cringe for me.
Oh, and then of course we have to introduce everyone to the concept of the eggnog blowjob.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise known as eggnoggin.
Have you ever eggnoggined in your life?
I have not experienced eggnoggin.
Eggnoggin, that's what it
I like it. There's no G on the end. Eggnoggin.
Noggin. But that just sounds like egghead almost.
Yeah. And I'm thinking like Kenny Loggins meets
That's
eggnog.
a really horrifying picture. Thank you for that.
I can't.
I
mean,
can't either.
Part of me is like really intrigued, but then the other part of me, the like sensible side of me is like, oh my God, you're going to have to like lay a tarp down because that's going to
So
mess
gross.
up some sheets.
Well, so my thing with the eggnog is it goes back to when they first met.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cute, but kind of weird.
They met at a Santa race, wasn't it? Like a Santa
Yeah, it was
con?
like a running of the Santas
Which
type
they do
thing.
in San Francisco every year. So I grew up like not necessarily going, but always seeing pictures of SantaCon, or you would like get off the train and there would just be a ton of people walking around in Santa outfits. You're like, oh, it's SantaCon today.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cute.
I mean, it's definitely a thing. And they met, they flirted at like the starting line. And
Right.
then they ran the race together so
Right.
they could buy each other a drink at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And the joke was that
Eggnog.
she wanted eggnog. And he like said something and she's like, you have no idea what I would do for a good cup of eggnog. And I was just like,
And he finds out.
okay.
He finds
Oh,
out
he
what
does
she would
find
do.
out. But what I found weird about that situation was, you know, like, she had just met this guy. You know, they had some chemistry. I get it. Like, you
Yeah.
can talk to him. And her friends played it safe. They took a picture of his license and, like, got his contact information, like, his address and all that stuff from his friends. Just
good.
in case
Good.
if she doesn't show back up, they
Yeah.
know who it was.
It's good.
And I'm like, you know what? That's smart. But then they call each other's moms.
Yeah, that was weird.
And I'm just like, what kind of 1930s bullshit is this?
I mean, I'm sure Erin Nicholas was like thinking, oh, this will just be like the funny, cute way to like go a step further from the we exchanged info where like you, like I usually if I would like meet a guy like at his place or something, I would like text some like my friends his
you have
address
your
or something like that.
designated babysitter.
Yeah, exactly. Or you like have the code word exchange sort of
Yes,
thing.
yes.
But yeah, they call up
Their moms.
their moms to be
And I
like, hey,
just-
here he is.
And I just thought that was super weird. And she like made a note of like how Lindsey's mom loved him right away. And I'm just like, if I was about to go on like my first date with a guy,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, here, talk to my mom, I'd be like, I'm out of here. I'll see you later.
Well, and it wasn't even a date or anything
No,
either,
they were
because
just meeting up.
she even says like after they did the race and they went to find the eggnog and like it wasn't there.
That's what they called.
Yeah, and that she had decided, she's like, I
was
made
later.
the conscious decision that I was gonna have my first one night stand in college, and she takes him back to her dorm room and puts eggnog in her mouth and blows him. But like, I'm like, you're calling each other's parents
Right before that.
right before you've already decided on a one night stand. Like
I
it
think
just
I think the
Is it
decision
after?
was after, because I think they called the parents
okay before like their date.
before their like date.
That's still weird.
Still so weird. And then yeah, they're drinking in the park, and that's when she's just like, yeah, I'm a fuck this dude. I was like, okay.
Eggnoggin.
Good
Thanks,
for you.
Urban Dictionary. Yeah, it's a real thing. Although on Urban Dictionary, it actually seems like it makes a little bit more sense to me. It's because in this book, she like would take a drink of eggnog and then hold it in her mouth and then go down on him. But thanks to Urban Dictionary's definition of eggnoggin, it's that a guy sticks his dick in a cup of eggnog and then pulls it out, and then she just like sucks it off of him like a lollipop.
I think is the cleaner version of it, because I'm thinking about her having this mouthful of eggnog, and I'm just like, that's gonna get everywhere, or you're gonna like choke on something or cough all
None
up
of
on
it
this
is
guy's.
clean. None of it is ever gonna be clean.
No. And that brings me to their weird eggnog sex at the end of the book.
Yeah.
That was gross.
Well, you know what? When he grabs the eggnog from the fridge, I was like thinking, oh, he wants to do it again, sort
Yeah,
of
I
thing.
was
Like
like,
another
whatever.
eggnog blowjob. More eggnoggin. Great.
But then he like so they get on their bed. They don't lay down like a towel or anything.
he
They just get on
doesn't-
their bed and he just pours it on
Yeah,
it.
he just even like I thought he was gonna like drizzle or like put it in his mouth and then like liquor
yeah.
with it, but I'm
Just
picturing him
literally, like-
literally opening the carton and just
going-
like dumping it on her, like pour some sugar on me.
That's kind of what I thought too, because he's just like it's described as he's like pouring it over like
Yeah.
her breast and down her stomach,
Yeah.
all the way downstairs, and then like kind of licking it up, and then he just pours it again and
Yeah.
doesn't lick it. And
It
then
was
they have
very
sex,
messy.
and he's just like, he had a line about how he wanted her like covered in eggnog and
His cum.
his cum, and I was just like, she's gonna need like 6 showers after this.
Yeah.
But you
There
guys
is-
haven't seen each other in 7 months. Do whatever weird shit you want.
There is a UTI waiting to happen.
Yeast infection for sure.
There you go.
For sure. The next thing that bothered me about that is, they do that. Again, no towel on their bed. And then they don't shower afterwards.
Well, maybe they
just
do.
lay there.
Oh, you mean like right afterwards?
Right after, they just kind of lay there
Yeah.
in that. And then they have sex again. And then there's never any mention of like whether or not they strip the bed. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you just ruined those sheets forever, because you're never going to get that smell out of there. They might get gross. They might
Such a
get
memory.
bacteria. Yeah, we just had to spend $50 on new sheets because he wanted to dump eggnog all over my body and didn't want to clean up after.
The heart wants what the heart wants, and sometimes the heart
guess.
wants eggnog. Not your heart.
Not my
Definitely
heart.
not my heart. My issues with the story were less about, it had its cheesy moments. It had
sure,
like,
for sure.
the setup and everything, and the ending is a little odd in terms of like
It just ends.
yeah, not bad. It's just more of like he basically arrives home thinking he's got like 2 weeks off to surprise his wife and kids, spend it with them for the holidays.
Which is very sweet.
Yeah, it's great. And then when he arrives, he immediately gets a phone call before he even gets into his Santa outfit saying, "Just kidding, we need you back in like 3 days. And there's going to be this mission." And you're like, "Oh, okay, bummer, but still understanding. I'm with
Okay,
you. I'm
all
with
right.
you. This could
He's
happen."
important in the military.
Right.
It's a tense situation. Yeah, you're in
Right.
charge of stuff. You need to go back. I get it.
But then as it goes on,
It gets
3 days becomes 2 days.
because
and
they like realize that they grabbed the wrong guy or they grabbed a different guy,
Well, and
and
just
it
the
became a
fact-
rescue mission. And I'm just like, you're calling him on his cell phone.
yeah, just the
This
fact
is
that there were these
so
military
against protocol.
it was weird, like the amount of military actions and discussions. And you know what? It's not that I haven't read a military romance before, but usually in a military romance, there's a lot more focus on what's going on. There's like a mission going on or something
Yeah.
happening. But in this one,
It's just kind of an aside.
yeah, it's like the romance is at the forefront, but then there's still this odd amount of like him getting calls, and it's not just him saying, "Oh, I got a call, I have to go." It's long conversations with
It's
him and his
conversation with
captain,
Yeah,
and
they're talking about the exact mission and
Yeah.
what's going on, and they're talking about like actual intel.
right,
And for part of this conversation, he's standing in the middle of a public diner,
yeah,
getting these highly classified military calls, and I'm just like, this seems
odd.
Very odd.
I thought it was
going
to
language.
turn into like a military action romance at one point. I was just like, this is really taking an odd turn from the beginning of the story, where you thought it was just going to be this little break. He comes home, they have their little, fun, and then at the end, I don't think I've ever read a romance like this where it's ended where they, have sex for whatever, the umpteenth time, and then he gets up and says, baby, I gotta go, and he leaves, and she's just left with the dog that he bought their family without consulting her. And that's it. And usually I feel like I'm not a fan of the epilogue or like the flash forward or whatever, but I thought there was going to be some sort of like little bow to tie it up with, like.
Instead, they kind of just left this half unwrapped.
Yeah,
present. It was just like, here's a glimpse,
but that's it.
That's all you're getting.
Because like they discuss, they mention a couple times like potential pregnancies or like babies. Like that was actually kind of bothered me a little bit. Is they have this discussion where he's like, do you want me to wear a condom? And she's like, yeah, he'd always left it up to me whether or not I wanted to be pregnant because, I'm going to be the one raising the kids and stuff. And I was like, this seems like this should be more of a discussion between a married couple than just, you want to be pregnant again or not? It just felt really cold. And then they have the discussion of him saying, well, maybe I should retire. And she's the one telling him, no, you love to do this, which I'm like, what a sacrifice for you to make. And I'm sure this is all military couples too, is the sacrifices.
Too, of yes, you guys are married, obviously, so you do need to make these decisions together.
Right.
But I am still always very much in the camp of you're your own number one. You're going to be it forever. So yeah, do what is best for you. There
wasn't a lot of it I don't know, they just didn't seem like a married couple a lot of the times. It kind of makes me wonder, I feel like the history of this couple would be because didn't they meet when she was in college and he was in the military still. He was still in the military. So she's only ever been with him while he's been in the military. He's career military.
And she even makes a note of that too. She's just we've never been a solid couple. We've never lived together for extended periods of time. Right. It's always, he's here and then he's gone. He's here and then he's gone. He's here
and
I
know that that's a reality for a lot of people. But for me, it kind of made me sad. I kind of felt like the book as a whole was sort of a bummer just because there wasn't really anything changing. It was more of just this is our reality. I'm here for a couple days. Okay, bye. And that was really it. And they didn't really spend that much time with the kids, which I felt really bad for the kids. I
felt so bad for the kids.
Well, the part that bothered me with the kids was where
she didn't want them to stay awake to see him.
Yes. I thought that was so
too. I thought that was shitty.
Weird.
I was if I were a child, to a point, I get it. Okay, yes, they're 7 and 8 years old. They should be going to bed on time. Routines are good for kids. But this is their father who's surprising them for the holidays. They should get as much time with him as well. That's their father.
And she wants him to wait until the next day, which is only, he's only there for 2 or 3 days at the most.
Which she didn't know, and I'll give her that much. And she had several comments about how bad she felt about it. Right. But I was just again, that's their dad.
Yeah,
they
I don't know.
Also don't get to see their dad very often, and I get that you want to have sex, but
yeah.
They want to spend quality time with pops.
I guess that's what was the weirdest thing to me from this book was not the cheesy parts, not the eggnog blowjobs, not the holiday puns, but it was the fact that I just felt as a couple, they just had so many problems
that they never talked about, that they were just fine with.
Yeah, and it just kind of, that was the other thing, is that they didn't really discuss it. They're not really acknowledging these problems that exist in this relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The whole time.
And I don't know. And I'm sure every couple is different in real life and in fiction.
Of course.
But, and obviously there are military couples all over the world. And I'm sure they all have more issues than non-military couples do just by what they have to go through and everything. But at the same time,
it's a higher stakes relationship.
Yeah, it's part of the game. I mean, it's part of, what you're getting when you do go into a military relationship like that. But yeah, I don't know. It just kind of took the romance out of it for me. Like, it wasn't really romantic. Even the rest of it, it's just Matt and Lindsey for the majority of the book.
We barely know anything about them except how they met.
And we know what he does. I feel like we know more about what he does in the military than we do of, like, who he is.
Yeah, exactly. We know more about what both of them do. And, like, we barely know what Lindsey does. For most of the book, she's just described as looking at him adoringly or with love in her eyes. And the greatest example I can think of when I say, like, there's no character descriptions anywhere, there's this character in the book, Bea. And the only thing we know about Bea is that she's a little older than the rest of the single parents. And she's got ample breasts.
Ample breasts.
That's all we know.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's pretty accurate to every character we meet, particularly Matt and Lindsey. Like, the things I know about Matt, he's super jacked. He's in the military. And Lindsey will do whatever he says.
Because, like, the fact that he brings home a dog.
Without talking to her, and she's the one who's going to have to take care of it. Because
well, and she even hinted that was, like, an issue, too. And I'm just like, oh, and it's not like she was like, oh, how sweet a dog. Like, she was like, oh, this is an interesting choice for you to make, like, kind of thing.
Talking to me.
Yeah, it just was not a very... to me, it wasn't a healthy marriage.
No.
Like, I just did not see it. Like, it seemed like, and it wasn't even, you know how some couples, like, stay together for the sake of the children and stuff?
Yes.
It wasn't even that. Like, because it didn't seem like that either. They didn't really, he didn't especially put a lot of focus on the kids. And she definitely was, like, keeping him away from the kids for, I don't know. It just...
weirdest reasons.
Part of me did find Lindsey interesting, like, and it was more of like, as coming from like an acting background, I was like looking at her as like a character study. I'm just like, I'm always really interested in I don't like the word normal, but like the atypical relationship, non-traditional relationships, and just like, why do people stay in them when it's clear they're not happy? And for her, that kind of like struck me a little bit. Like, I felt like maybe she's not happy in this relationship. And so,
I mean, there's some pretty choice moments in it where she explicitly says she's not happy. Like, she's watching another couple, and it talks about this like pang of sadness and jealousy that she so often feels. And it's not that she didn't love what her husband did and that he's not a badass, but sometimes she just wished that he was with her.
And then at the same time, he says to her, like, well, is that something we should talk about, you know, me retiring and stuff? And she's telling him no, because I know you love this. Like, of course I want you here, but do you feel like you're making a difference where you are? That's what you want. I understand. So it's hard, because I do get it. Like, she wants him to be happy, but she wants him to also be happy with her at home with their children. But at the same time, doesn't want to take his life away from him too. So it's just so complicated.
I don't come from an acting background whatsoever. But I did kind of look at it the way that I usually look at female characters, like, as they're written. And I like to see, like, how independent are they? How autonomous are they? Are they willing to make compromises? Like, what's their end game almost? Yeah. And for Lindsey, I had a hard time figuring her out. Yeah. Because the only thing I really knew about her was how much she loved her husband. Right. But she's also feeling all of these completely valid feelings about what he does and about the things that she thinks that she wants. Yeah. But she's never willing to talk about them. Yeah, we get a lot of inner dialogue. We get a lot of inner dialogue. We get a lot of her being like, well, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this to him. Mm-hmm. It was also interesting for me because the author specifically writes him as an alpha male. Mm-hmm. And even she states that, like, multiple times that he's an alpha male. Even in his perspective, he talks about how he wants to, like, possess her and all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And that made me question a lot of things about her as well, just because I was just like, well, she seems to be just doing whatever he wants. Mm-hmm. Absolutely no regard for herself. Absolutely no independence in this decision-making process. Like, it's not a two-sided... This relationship is not a two-sided street. It's very one-way. And that bothered me a lot, just because I'm like, well, you're the one raising the kids. You're at home. This is a relationship between two people. Two people should be making these decisions. She even gets to make the decisions about whether or not they have a baby. I'm like, she gets that power? Like, but that's it.
That's it. Like, because I mean...
And that's not even a fair power to have.
No. And she's very independent in the way of that she's raising these children
By
mostly
herself.
on her own. Like, really. And they even both acknowledge... He even acknowledges that she's raising their children.
But then she kind of backtracks and says, I feel like we're raising them together. And I'm just like, but you're not. But you're not.
I feel like when they're not talking, we really are getting how each of them feel. But then when they have these conversations,
It's so fake.
It's so fake. And it's really a portrait of a lot of real relationships, but that's not what I'm looking for in a romance novel either.
No,
like, I thought for sure with Eggnog Makes Her Easy, I'm like thinking, oh, this is going to be some slutty holiday romance fun. Yes.
Like
and that
slutty
is
elf. Okay.
Yeah, but that was not it. And like the more we talk about it, this more sad I'm getting. I'm just like, this was really depressing.
This was not a light and fluffy read.
No.
I mean, maybe surface level it was, but like if you honestly think about these things, it's just like, oh wow. Like I try to think of like what I would say to Lindsey if I were her friend.
Yeah.
And I don't think she would like what I would have to say.
Yeah.
But
well, because if I was gonna say something to her, it wouldn't just be about her relationship. It'd be about like her as a person too.
I mean, what do you actually want?
Yeah, exactly.
Is this how you want to live your life?
It's interesting. I'm not sure. Did you want to talk about the sexy time? I will give them this. Like when you go back to the surface level and you step back from all the relationships and the feelings and the emotions, it's really, I liked actually the start of their relationship. That it's like when you get the
Light and
flashbacks
fun.
about like, oh, they met at this Santa run and
So
they
Christmas is their
yeah,
holiday.
they went to find eggnog. She gave him an eggnog BJ. Like that was
And then
almost the
I think
story.
like a year later, he proposed to her
On Christmas, yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, that's so cute.
That was kind of like the story I wanted. Like if that had been the story where it wasn't this...
It was their like origin story.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was them meeting, them falling in love, even having to deal with like the separation because of the military and everything. But then in the end, them getting engaged on Christmas the following year. That would have been like the ideal romance scenario for this book.
Yeah, that's light. It's fluffy.
Yeah.
You can just sit there and be like, oh, I want that.
Yeah.
And then be with it.
This was more of like...
This is more of like,
what
I
happens...
would hate this relationship.
Yeah, this was more of like what happens after the happily ever after, where you're like, yeah, I bet it's all hot now, but in 10 years you're gonna resent each other, and there you go. Yeah, I'll give her credit though. There were a few sex scenes, and they were pretty good. They were pretty decent. I mean, he gets pretty alpha, so you're like, okay, that's definitely there. So let me see. I know I've marked one. I've marked the one where this is where he asks her like if she wants him to wear a condom, or if like she wants to like get pregnant again. Oh, here we go. He says, "You are so damn beautiful. This is how I'm going to imagine you the next time I'm jerking off in the shower." He ran a finger through her folds. "Just down the hall from the sweet Christmas party with your friends, this bright red dress hiked up around your hips, your bra who knows where, your hair wild, your lipstick all gone. You are willing to spread your legs just to get a Christmas present. I bet I could get you to do anything right now." And then her response is, "Well, you said the present was really big."
I repeat, it reads like fan fiction.
Oh, and then before he enters her, he's like, "Brace yourself.
Oh my god.
Here comes Santa Claus." And it says, "She laughed." And I'm like, yep, I would too.
I would laugh and then be like, okay, mood's ruined, bye.
Yeah, she laughed, but quickly gasped as he pressed forward, sliding into her, stretching and filling her. Okay, I mean, there's a lot of squeezing. I'm like just skimming through, and it's squeezing, moaning, swiveling.
The only other sex scene that they describe,
Okay.
which is the eggnog one, he just like says a lot of things that I'm just like, how did you not just crack up when you said this? Like,
Because it's so sexy and dominating, Claudia.
to each their own. He had just doused her in eggnog.
Uh-huh.
And he's just like, God, I love you, sticky Linz. He ran his hand over her stomach again, coating it in eggnog, and then reaching for his cock. He stroked himself as he sucked her nipples, and then moved up the mattress to bring his cock up to his mouth. but this is always sweet. She says, "My panties are gonna get wet just smelling eggnog now." And I'm like,
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah, that one hurt me too.
I just cringed.
Not my favorite.
Just remember, because like I read it twice to prepare for this, and I just remember the first time when I read that line, I did have to put it down for a second and be like, oh,
yeah, not
did she seriously
my
just
favorite.
say that? But like the thing is, he goes on with it, and he's just like, good. Then I just might fuck you with chocolate milkshakes and peppermint schnapps and peach iced tea. Then I'll know your panties are wet for me every damn day. And I was just like,
I marked that one too. And I didn't remember the context of it, and I was just like, I'm gonna fuck you with chocolate milkshakes. What? Like, what is he talking about? So perfect. I'm glad you brought it up. This just sounds like a very sticky couple. I will give them credit for keeping the spark alive. Like, definitely, like, when, you know, they come home, it's not just some vanilla missionary sex. Like, they are going for it. I'm like, okay.
all right.
Good for you. Good for you.
Exhibitionism, is that how you say that?
Oh, yeah.
So they're a little risky.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of into the public thing.
Yeah.
And they're into food.
Is it bad, though, that, like, to me, the sexiest sex scene is the one that doesn't even happen? Like, I wanted to know about the eggnog blowjob.
Yeah. I think that would have, again, that goes back to their origin story would have been a much better, like, Christmas romance.
So, notes to Erin Nicholas, we would love the origin story of Matt and Lindsey. I mean, that's basically what it all comes down to.
Oh, yeah. Like how, I mean, she says in it, like, she made the decision that night, too, that she, like, was gonna fall in love with this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it seems like they both did. Like, they both fell hard and quickly, so...
Not the only thing they do hard and quickly.
Ooh, girl. Here comes Santa Claus.
Really
okay.
fast.
I think that's enough about this until we get our origin story, and then we'll be back at it. What would you grade this book? And we're going to grade on story, syntax, and sexcapades. So out of 10, 10 being the very highest. Just go ahead and start with story.
So for story, there wasn't really much of a story. There was no character arc. There was no real plot line.
Yeah, nothing much changes.
Nothing changes. So I would kind of, out of 10, like a 3.5.
3.5? Okay. I gave it a 5. I gave it a 5 because I was like, I feel like the framework's there, but like,
I mean,
there's
she's
not
got
a
the
lot.
structure, but she didn't ever. It's like she built the foundation.
Yeah, well, and you know what? I liked a lot of the characters set up in the beginning. I liked the beginning setup, and then it was kind of when they were left on their own that I just started noticing like all these problems, like both in their relationship and just in the story in general.
There just wasn't a story.
Exactly. Well, I mean, there is in that it's like he had, I mean, it's a classic story where it's like he has a time sensitive. Yeah, he has the running clock. Like he has to be gone. But usually with like the ticking clock, there's something that needs to be accomplished before that happens.
The only thing they accomplish is hanging out with their kids for one day and having sex.
And there isn't really anything to accomplish. Like, I guess what's cute is they do cram in all these like holidays and birthdays and stuff into like one day. So I'm like, okay, that's cute, but that wasn't even really like the mission of being there. So
no, and they planned that party in less than a day, and I was impressed.
So, I mean, I'll give it a 5. It was a good start. I just feel like it never really got into it. How about syntax?
I'd give it a 5.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of...
It's kind of meh.
It's pretty meh.
Yeah, that's fair. I give that one a little bit higher. I gave it a 7 because I was just like, the writing itself, I don't really have a problem with as much as like...
Well, see, that's why I gave it a 5. It was like I didn't mind the writing, but there was just...
There wasn't anything remarkable.
Yeah, there was nothing remarkable about it. It was just kind of like, all right.
Part of me really loved all of the friends at the Big Easy single parents anonymous party or whatever. Like, I liked them, but then it was the main 2 people that I'm just kind of like, but... Okay. So, I don't know. I'd be willing to check out another one of her stories just to see what else she has to offer. So I'll give her a 7.
Yeah, I was just saying there was no clear style.
No.
So it's just like, it's not bad, but I wouldn't call it great. So
exactly.
Like, you're right in the middle.
Yeah, like it's there. It's there. It's fine. Exactly. You know, I don't have complaints.
That's perfect way to, it's fine.
How about sexcapades? I thought it was pretty good. And keep in mind, it's only 100 pages. There's only so much.
So there is only so much she can do. I guess I'd give it like a 6.5 or a 7.
You're a critic, Claudia.
I am. But, like, my thing, too, with it is just some of the things he said. Like, I just cringed so hard.
Okay.
And that took a lot away from me. Like, the thing about, like, the chocolate milkshakes. And then the whole
I'm gonna
condom
fuck you
thing.
with chocolate milkshakes.
Then the whole thing with, like, the condom and the baby. That just, like, there were just, like, these little droplets and, like, little nuggets of things that just, like, immediately pulled you out of it.
And it became, like, unsexy. Like, you're getting into it and you're like, okay.
All right.
Oh,
gross.
Stop. Yeah.
Exactly. It was just like, okay, you have this good buildup. You're starting. They say something weird, and I'm just like, oh, fuck. And then you just drop me right back in the middle of it. And I'm just like, now I just...
That dirty talk and alpha talk. I love it.
I'll give it a 7.
Okay, that's fair. And I gave it an 8. I was like, you know what? There's two meaty sex scenes for like a 100-page story. That's pretty decent. And
it's not overwhelming.
No. And that's the other thing too, is sometimes there can be too much. Yeah. But I thought it was like a good amount for the book. And
I did appreciate that she like teased other times that they did it, like the eggnog blowjob.
I'm missing it. I want it.
And then like after the eggnog sex that they do have, they like mention that they do it again, and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm glad you teased that instead of writing out a whole other one,
which some people will do, and you're just like, good God, we just saw this, like, come on.
It's kind of like The Room, you know, at that point. Just replaying the same footage just like 10 minutes later, and you're just like, okay, I think
oh my gosh,
we get it.
So do you think after having read this, you would read another romance novel?
I'd be willing to try like a full romance novel. I don't know if it'll be my style. But I would try it. I mean, it goes back to me with rom-coms. I'm a sucker for a light and fluffy where I don't hate everybody.
Okay.
You know,
that's
like
fair.
I want just a good story like that's going to make me happy, and the characters are real people, multifaceted people with their own thoughts and opinions. Yeah.
Your next book, you'll have to compare against the 50 Shades of Grey series, and Eggnog Makes Her Easy. So I think
50 Shades of Grey. So I think we're going to be fine.
Did you like this one more than 50 Shades?
I did, yes.
Wonderful.
I did because, you know, it wasn't an abusive relationship.
That's good.
It wasn't unrealistic. Like, there was no 23-year-old who was suddenly an editor at a publishing house.
Oh my God, that was one of my biggest problems with 50 Shades, is that she becomes so successful, and I'm like, I don't even care if you're really good. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, it's just, I wish the world worked like that, but it doesn't.
I mean, yeah.
Only if your daddy is somebody.
And hers wasn't.
Yeah.
But it was her
daddy. Not her daddy, but her daddy. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's cut that right there. The last couple things we'll do is we'll step away from our book and we'll do a little holiday activity, and our giveaway winner. We have a new giveaway winner every day of the 12 days of Boobsmas. And last but not least, we will introduce the new day of Boobsmas, brought to you by the amazing Cooper Baldwin. And if you haven't listened, Claudia, we have Cooper, who's a previous guest, and he's an incredible composer, and he's put together a raunchy version of the 12 days of Christmas and dubbed it the 12 days of Boobsmas. And we are revealing a new day every episode. So today is day 7, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, I thought, since this story is called Eggnog Makes Her Easy, and since neither of us really appreciate eggnog, what better way to end the day than with the segment Eggnog Flavored Goodies, Fact or Crap?
Oh boy.
So I'm going to read you something that is eggnog flavored, and you're going to tell me if that is fact, it is in fact something that is eggnog flavored, or crap. Thankfully, that product does not exist in our world. So we will start nice and easy. Let's see. Let's start with saltwater taffy.
That seems like fact.
It is in fact fact. There is eggnog saltwater taffy. How about coffee?
Oh, that's definitely true. They have like eggnog lattes and all that stuff.
But like coffee itself. Like coffee, like ground coffee, coffee beans, eggnog.
Crap?
It is crap. There is eggnog coffee creamer, but to the best of my research abilities, there is not eggnog coffee. How about milkshakes?
Definitely fact.
Yes, in fact, they make one at McDonald's.
I don't think I would ever have that, but...
I don't think I would either. How about candy corn.
I hope that's crap.
It is fact.
Oh, God.
You can get Christmas candy corn that comes eggnog flavored.
That
Ugh.
just sounds... Oof.
And the way you know it is that instead of it being orange and white, they're yellow, white, and brown. See, they just sound, they just look gross.
I was like, so it just looks like shit.
Eggnog isn't brown either. Like,
No,
why is
isn't
it
that
brown?
like kind of beige-ish color?
Yeah, like the flavor. It's beige flavored and colored. How about toothpaste?
I also hope that's crap.
It is crap.
Okay, great.
But I was like thinking, you know what? It's got to be coming because there are so many eggnog flavored, or there's just so many weird toothpaste flavors. Like
Are there?
it's insane. Yeah, it's crazy. They really do have a bunch. Like if there's like pumpkin spice everything, including toothpaste.
Whew.
But thankfully,
I cannot imagine
eggnog.
brushing my teeth with pumpkin spice. That just,
Eggnog has not made it as far as pumpkin spice yet, so that's good. Okay, we already did coffee, but how about tea?
Eggnog tea?
Eggnog tea.
People really take this eggnog thing way too far. Crap.
It's fact.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. They call it their seasonal eggnog blend, and this is from Adagio Teas.
But, oh boy.
A lighter, less caloric way to enjoy eggnog.
Don't they have, like, light eggnog for that exact purpose?
Yeah, but now you can have it hot,
Watery.
tea, watery.
You can have watery egg-flavored things. Although I know eggnog doesn't taste like eggs. But
Two more. Malt balls.
that seems real. Fact.
It is. Yeah, it's fact. It's really funny. It's sold by a Boula's Candyland, and they sell online exclusively through eBay.
That sounds like it's being run out of someone's basement for sure.
Probably is. Probably. I mean, have you heard of Boula's?
No, but I also hadn't heard of C's candy until I moved out here. So.
Oh, I love C's candy. Okay, last but not least, bubble gum.
Eggnog flavored bubblegum? I want to say crap just because I hope to God that's not real.
It's fact.
Oh, God.
Eggnog bubblegum. I like this. Eggnog bubblegum sounds pretty interesting to say the least. This is from an article on Women's Day. But who wouldn't want to give it a try?
Me. That's
Yeah.
who wouldn't. Me.
Yeah, I'm with you. Comes in a festive tin, and I like that they specify it's alcohol-free.
All right.
And brought to you by CoolStuffExpress.com.
That also sounds like one of those websites where you like find a sweatshirt and it comes in and it's just like 3 socks sewn together. Like those weird prom dresses that people like the really fancy looking prom dresses that are like $10
Yeah.
and then they get them and it's like a potato sack.
Oh, I'm guilty. I've totally ordered like a sweater like that before, and then it comes and I'm like, oh, I'm going to order a size up just in case, and it's still too small. So I get it. But there you go. That is your game of eggnog fact or crap, and just goes to show you that there are way too many things eggnog flavored out there.
People have too much time on their hands if they're making and conceptualizing eggnog flavored
Exactly.
things.
Here's the thing about eggnog is I feel like people aren't drinking eggnog all year round. Like even pumpkin spice, people like pumpkin. I think they're more drawn to pumpkin
Than pumpkin
than
spice.
they are to eggnog. I'm just like,
Oh, yeah.
who wants eggnog flavored stuff all year long?
I'm sure there are people who do. I'm sure they exist.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think it's just one of those very niche, very seasonal
Right.
things.
And I will
mean,
have
okay.
1 cup all year. I will have 1 cup of eggnog, and it's got to have brandy in it.
I think I have had 1 cup of eggnog in my entire life, and I don't even think I finished it.
Okay, so now it's time for us to choose our giveaway winner for the 7th day of Boobsmas. And this is one of our recent Twitter followers. So this was our 1,420th follower on Twitter.
Nicely done, nicely done.
Yeah, and they didn't know they were going to win anything, but you follow, you win. That's how it works sometimes. And our winner for today is, silent drum roll, please. You Had Me at Yellow podcast. Ooh, a new podcast for me to check out. You Had Me at Yellow podcast. You Had Me at Yellow is a safe space where Asian Americans can come to air it all out. Ooh, I like that. Okay. I'm going to check them out, and I'm going to send them some happy mail. So what a great way to kick off December. Claudia is going to give you a nice little sample of your blind date with a book prize that you're taking home. Take it away, Claudia.
2 stories, 1 town. Things are warming up in Alaska.
It gets cold in Alaska.
Yeah, I mean, and also they have like, I can't remember, do they have like extremely long days or extremely short ones?
Don't they do both, but it's like at different times of year? Like in the winter, I want to say there'll be times where they go like 30 days without sunlight.
I honestly don't know.
Anyway, that's my knowledge of Alaska. So congrats once again to You Had Me at Yellow. You're taking home a blind date with a book giveaway. And thank you for joining me today, Claudia. I had so much fun having you in your wonderful judgmental ways on the show.
You knew what you were signing up for when you asked me to do it.
Oh, absolutely. And we will be looking for Erin Nicholas's prequel. So without further ado, on the 7th day of Boobsmas, my lover gave to me 7 minutes in heaven. Take it away, Cooper, and play us out.
On the 7th day of Boobsmas, my lover gave to me 7 minutes in heaven, 6 billionaires, 5 penis rings, 4 dukes of fucking, 3 butt plugs, 2 nipple clips, and a hot hookup underneath the tree.